Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 243 of the Classic Elite Podcast. My name is Scott. I've got Dustin with me. What is going on, man?
I've seen definitive evidence that ghosts are real.
So, is your life changed after this weekend?
Well, ordinarily, ghost hunting shows, they show like grainy night cam footage of stuff. Well, this documentary showed us grainy night cam footage of stuff.
so about you'd expect. That's funny. Now, okay. Was there a presentation before or after the documentary, since this was kind of a special screening, or a Q&A or anything?
There was a Q&A. It had weird, like, tiered ticketing. So if you bought, like, the super duper ticket, you could, like, have dinner with the guy and do a Q&A and stuff like that. And then after the movie, there was a Q&A. But it was already, like, 10:30, and we had to go get Solomon and go home. And
I guess I was just wondering if there was, like a big sell. Like, you guys are about to have the experience of your life. You're going to know something that only 30 other people in the world have ever seen.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of like that. But it, like, the movie, it's called Sir No Face Lives. And it was about 30 minutes of build up to the footage, that the definitive proof. And it looked cool. But it could have been faked. So.
Yeah. Which is funny because even off-the-shelf night cams have HD now. There's no excuse for... it had to be a fun experience, going through the whole hoopla and all that. I guess for any of you that haven't put it together yet, Dustin went to go see definitive proof that there are ghosts last weekend.
That's right.
Were you entertained? Like, did they have fun stories, good interviews?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to watch this.
I would have... I mean, it was alright, because the first 45 minutes or 30 minutes, 45 minutes is build up to that footage. Mm-hmm. And then the last of the movie is him, like, grilling the team that caught the footage, trying to debunk it, and being unable to. Okay. So that is...
the definitive proof he couldn't...
Yeah, he couldn't debunk it.
I'm interested. I want to watch it. You know, hopefully it gets a release where I can rent it on Google Play or Amazon or something like that. Just the hokiness, the whole, like, reading something in a Haunted Mansion book and going to the mansion. Did it have a polished documentary feel, or did it feel like an episode of Unsolved Mysteries?
It was like 3/4 in between Unsolved Mysteries to, like, polished documentary.
Closer to polish?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember some of the other, like, hour-long TV specials, mostly around aliens, though, that I'd get really into, and those had really, hey, Night Fox, good to see you.
Welcome.
Oh, no, don't say that. Zarek will get upset. We're poaching now. That's cool that it was fun. Like, you knew what you were going to get, so.
Mm-hmm. I went with Kim, my buddy, his wife's sister, and his brother. It was 6 of us, and we were just kind of sitting there, and it wasn't super quiet. It wasn't like theater quiet. So we were, like, talking to each other and acting stupid, and it was fun.
Cool. Hey, Legend, good to see you, man. All right. Yeah, I guess, I love when things trend on Twitter. because you're like, where's this going to go? Cinema Sins was trending on Twitter.
All right.
And it was because the episode of Everything Wrong with Kong Skull Island came out.
All right.
And the director was pissed. So So last night, I'm like, I want to take this all in. I'm down the rabbit hole. I saw Gary Whitta bitching about CinemaSins on Twitter. And I like Gary Whitta. I think he's funny. I enjoy him on podcast. Sometimes I think he is just a loon on social media. But so I'm like, all right, I got to see what the hubbub's about, right? So I watched Kong Skull Island, and then I liked the movie. It was worth watching. I would watch it again. It's not great, but I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
It was about what I expected, and then I went and watched the CinemaSins thing. But it was a nice way to kill a couple of hours. I just really wanted to see where, like, what all the fuss was about, and I didn't think they shredded it. I didn't think CinemaSins was brutal or anything like that. So, if I made the movie and I heard someone talk about it like that, my feelings would be hurt. But as an outside observer, I didn't think he was that bad. And sometimes, they were basically saying, he ruins movies for people and stuff like that. But sometimes he loves a movie that I love, and he'll still do it. And you can tell he loves the movie as he's doing the bit. Yeah. And it is like for comedy and stuff. Like you watch his John Wick 2 review, and I'm like, oh, I love that movie, but he's gonna shred it. Yeah. And you watch it, and he's just having a good time. It's fun. So, Grim Reaper agrees. He likes Skull Island too. Did you like the Godzilla with the Bryan Cranston that they marketed with Bryan Cranston, and then it was barely Bryan Cranston?
I didn't see it yet.
I liked that movie. I thought it was good. And I guess these are going to all be in the same monster universe, like the old school Universal days. I'd love to see this Kong and that Godzilla come together. That'd be a lot of fun.
Did he sell meth to Godzilla?
That's where it lost me. It didn't, and I'm like, they've lied to me.
Why even bother?
I want Eisenberg here. Or he treats Godzilla like shit because there was an older brother and a little brother Godzilla.
Oh, yeah. That's the way it goes.
I was reaching for that one. So, hey, Ava, Jen, Babs, what's going on? Angela, good to see you guys. So, I guess let's get into some news. Zarek, what's up, man? The first thing that I thought was really cool, we had the Dota 2 International last week, right? That neither of us watched. I meant to, but I didn't. I'm assuming
I forgot it happened.
Okay, yeah. I thought about it on Sunday. I'm like, oh, that's probably on right now. And I looked, and it was over. Well, Elon Musk, this dimension's Tony Stark, he's been working on a project called OpenAI. It is just an AI platform kind of thing. Well, they have been able to. This AI beat a champion Dota player, or Dota 2 player. And the reason this is kind of a big deal is there are a lot of variables. Chess and Go and things like that have less variables to them. There's a lot of potential outcomes, but there are still less variables than you would find in Dota. So the more variables, the more possible outcomes. So it's still that art of a person, playing over a machine or whatnot. And the AI is only doing one-on-ones and against. It has to be a particular character and can only play against a certain kind of character. So it's very early. It can't do team stuff. It can't do random characters. But that's still pretty insane because pros, they've never been able to make AI that can beat pros. We're just going to have to jack in, man. It just... it's going to be a fight over, am I giving my soul to Bezos or Musk?
We're already jacked in, man.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, according to Elon Musk, mathematically, we probably are. So, I don't know. What if you could pick an AI? I mean, we don't really need to talk about like thoughts on AI or whatever. Two questions. What game would you like to see an AI get involved in? Doesn't have to be competitive, any game.
Okay.
And then what would be the game that you could hold off the AI the longest on if it was trying to beat you?
Okay. I could hold off an AI in nothing. I suck at competitive gaming.
Virtua Tennis for the Dreamcast would be mine.
Okay.
I got scary good at that.
And I'd want to see an AI play Desert Bus.
You could just loop that.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, I created you to play this game for 8 hours. Screw you, AI. Enjoy.
You make Bitcoin miner the game. Grim Reaper says, can't wait for the Godzilla King of the Monsters in 2019. Ooh, maybe they're not going to use that Godzilla. Maybe it'll be another reboot. Or maybe it'll be a sequel to that recent one, Untitled Together. But I'm excited to see that. I like big monster movies.
Yeah.
What would be one that I would... It's definitely got to be something that there is not necessarily precision, but strategy is really good. I think watching someone in a Team Fortress or an Overwatch would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know that it's more of like a thought experiment. I guess that's the more mind bending thing about a computer being able to beat a human at that style of task. Next up, Dustin, when was the last time you bought a Humble Bundle?
It's been a long time. It's been years.
It's been a long time for me, and I felt like I bought the first 20 of them.
Yeah.
There's a new one
that was all the games.
It was everything up to that point.
Yeah.
For $10. But did you see this one, the new PlayStation bundle?
Yeah, it's actually got some it's got some okay stuff. If you pay $1, you get the Bureau XCOM Declassified, which was the third-person shooter XCOM game. Civ Rev 2 Plus for the Vita, Evolve for PS4, and XCOM Enemy Unknown Plus for Vita. If you beat the average, you'll get Battleborn, BioShock, both Borderlands games. Mafia 2, Spec Ops: The Line. That's a good game.
Yep.
And XCOM Enemy Within. Battleborn is on PS4. All the other ones I just listed were PS3. And pay $20 or more, and you get XCOM 2.
Yeah.
Everything else.
It seems like we can ask Zarek. Zarek, do you think, because he did all those XCOM videos, and he kept us alive nicely for quite a while. XCOM 2, that seems worth $20 in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
BioShock is cool. Borderlands 2, I liked a lot. Spec Ops, obviously.
Yeah.
I watched Racevic's Spec Ops: The Line 5 years later video.
What'd you think?
Damn, that's a really good video.
Right?
It just made me appreciate even more about how great that game is.
Mm-hmm. All the stuff I never noticed.
And yeah, they really do telegraph a lot of stuff while you're playing the game. Mm-hmm. Totally went over my head. And he did also point out some things that had I known, it would have broken the experience, like the illusion of choice kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always happen. There was a situation where you had a choice to kill or not kill somebody, and it wasn't like BioWare, it wasn't like Telltale, there wasn't a dialogue option. You were just in the game, and you knew the situation, and you could shoot somebody or not shoot them. And it was all just... I didn't realize that was going on. I remember that scene, and I remember not shooting because it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But you could have a different mindset and think that you need to kill that guy, and you do. I don't know. That's just a really neat thing from a game that's, last generation like that.
Yeah.
I haven't played any other of these. Although XCOM Enemy Unknown Plus for Vita, is that just a Vita port or something like that?
I think so.
That's worth $1 just to try. Maybe I gotta go.
Yeah.
Go give this a go.
You probably buy a Vita for $1 at this point. So $2 and you got that game.
Well, I saw Severed came to Switch, so I busted out my old Vita because Severed was one of those PlayStation PSN games.
Mm-hmm.
That's a neat little game for Vita. That's a good system. It's too bad that they spent so much money on things that weren't used.
Yeah.
Like touchpads and all that kind of stuff.
Vita TV.
Yeah. Okay, what do we have next in the news here?
We did Humble Bundle. Yeah, Amazon Canada changes pre-order game discount from 20 to 10%.
Do you know do you have Amazon Prime?
No.
Oh, okay. I assumed you did. If you have Prime and you pre-order a game, you get a 20% discount. Or if you buy the game within the first 2 weeks of release, it's 20% off. So it comes out to like $50 instead of $60.
Sweet.
But in Canada, they're lowering that from 20% off to just down to 10%.
Okay.
Still.
Poor Kevin.
Yeah. Boy, they really keep getting blasted. Was it Kevin that showed us or told us about some games selling for like $79.99 or $74.99 when they're $59.99 here US?
Is that Canada or is that?
Yeah, it was Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars.
But the way inflation works and the way exchange rates work, that it's not like retailers are going to be bringing that number down at any point. So if our dollar would get on par with theirs, they'd still spending $15 more than we would if it leveled back out. But maybe it would. I mean, we paid $70 some for Super Nintendo games. Or
yeah,
we didn't.
True.
They sold then. They sold for that much then. Zurich says he has a PSP within 1 foot of his keyboard right now. The PSP, again, I've said it before. You've tried to tell me how, despite you not liking handhelds, how good the PSP is. Yeah. I've played the God of War, one of the God of War games on PSP, on the Vita port.
Mm-hmm.
That's shocking that was a PSP game. The graphics are awesome. God of War is cool, kind of fun. It's a good little emulator bot. I remember you playing a lot of Mega. Was that no? That was a legit Mega Man though, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I just remember years ago when you came out to Ohio, you were playing. Was it Mega Man? Maybe it was Metal Gear. I don't know. It's too long ago. Too many beers between then and now. So sorry for the Canadians, but I doubt that the U.S. is that far behind. 20% off of a new retail item seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear people talk about retail related to video games, new stuff has a very low margin, right?
Yeah.
So is that them operating at a loss, or
is that Amazon operating at a loss?
Yeah, or like selling it at cost, maybe. Not a loss. That wouldn't make sense, but
right. They get their money from your Prime subscription, so they.
And the fact that you go there, yeah, it's like get them in the door kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah. We'll give you the razor if you buy the blades, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't. I'm speculating that, like why things are expensive and whatnot, related to this. We have no idea. It could be margins. It could be a business thing. Maybe there was some regulation passed that we're not aware of. That maybe that was like an anti-competitive thing. If they were undercutting everybody, I don't know. But that's just enough. I would still go with them. It's still going to be $5 or $6 off or whatever. Yeah. And you're not driving to the store. Yeah, I hate traffic, so it's always nice if I can avoid it. The next item, I saw this at Eurogamer, and this is really rad. Here, chat, I'm going to put a link in the chat for you guys. So there's an engineer, and he invented a Switch peripheral for one-handed gamers. And he 3D printed it, and it has kind of a locking mechanism and folds out so that you can put two Joy-Cons in this housing unit and kind of bend it around so your fingers would your ring finger can grab one thumbstick, and then because of where your thumb is wrapped around, your thumb could get the other joystick.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Do you have the inventiveness in you to design something that well?
No.
Me either. It's a very elegant design.
Yeah.
Like, I might be able to have a general idea, but this has like a little mechanical switch to it and spins around in a really cool way. It's always a market that I personally forget about because I don't have a need to use a peripheral to help with a disability to play games. But it always is cool when it's addressed. Colorblind modes, high contrast modes is a good example of some other stuff like that. Ben Heck has made a ton of these kind of things on his channel to help people out. I've seen really cool ones. We reported on a story a couple years ago where someone had like a mouthpiece that would allow them to have basic controls in a game, which is like, wow. So you could be a paraplegic and play video games. Like, that's pretty badass. So I always find these stories pretty cool. Let's see, what's his name? His name is Julio Vasquez, and he put that slide together. This was pointed out by Able Games, which is a charity that specializes in bringing video games to those that have physical disabilities. And they pointed out that Vasquez's unique controller peripheral can be 3D printed at a local shop from the blueprints that he has on his Thingiverse page. So you don't even need to buy this. If you have any access to a 3D printer, you can just download it for free and get it made. And all you'll have is the cost of the plastic. I bet Nashville I bet your library and some other places have really easy access for you to something like this.
Yeah, I bet so.
It'd be a little tougher for me, but there are some places where you can order people to make 3D prints for you and then they'll mail you the device. I know Jeremy at the Cartoon Retrocast, somewhere in Baltimore, he has a place that he can go to and use their 3D printers. So he 3D prints things to send out to listeners and stuff, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so what do we have next up?
Undertale is out for PS4 and Vita with cross-buy. I have never played this.
I know you haven't, but I'm actually a little surprised maybe that you haven't given her a go.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, and I'm interested in it, but I've yet to get around to it.
It's a heavily remixed soundtrack, so on our SoundCloud and on GJ Cutman's This Week in Chiptune, I think I'm well versed in every sound that game's ever had, even though I've never played it. But $15, you get it on either platform. It's cross-buy. I'm assuming that has cross-save, but I don't know for sure.
I think so.
Probably does.
Probably.
That's great. This, I don't know, something about a little JRPG just makes perfect sense for a Vita.
Yeah.
But I've never really gotten into those, and I never gave like any of the 3DS ones a shot either. Like, I never got into like Fire Emblem or any of those kind of games. Oh, that's okay, Legend. I would like seeing you. His phone's at 7%.
Find a charger quick.
I'm flattered he's willing to use the last 7%. There could be an emergency, but it's like, no, I want to hear about news. Yeah, Undertale, $15. From all accounts I can hear, it's very worth $15. It goes on sale a lot on Steam, so you can put it in your wish list there. But that's cool to have a handheld version. There is a really good indie scene still on the Vita, like Axiom Verge and Bastion. There's a really great collection. If you do find a Vita for cheap, I would recommend picking it up. There's some awesome games for it.
Yeah.
And then last, this is not that exciting. Actually, it's the reaction that's more exciting. There were people very bummed. Valve finally released a new card game. They're getting on the card game train, and they're making a Hearthstone, but in the Dota universe, basically. There are going to be some cool differences to it. For example, somehow there's going to be 3 lanes. There was one, I think it was the Elder Scrolls one. Yeah, there was a recent Elder Scrolls one that came out, and there's kind of 2 sides of the board, or 2 lanes in there. I'm not interested, but it's fascinating. You know, it's not Portal 3, it's not Half-Life 3. It's a Dota 2 card game, which is a nice little kick in the teeth as well. It's the next Dota thing. It's not Dota 3. Actually, I think Dota 3 will probably never happen based on what I've heard other people say. They just did a huge patch sometime last year that changed the game. It reworked maps and did all this different balancing stuff. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to follow.
The next big update, they should just hyphenate it. Or not hyphenate, but just do a colon title. Take the 2 off.
Oh, almost like it's like seasons, like the way they do World of Warcraft.
Yeah, like Dota : Infinity.
Which they would do, because that's a generic video game.
Yeah.
Word. So, Legend, I appreciate. Yeah, he does say our podcast is more important than an emergency. Well, that's going to be it for the news. So now, next up, we have YouTube Channel of the Week.
YouTube Channel of the Week. Week. We're going to do Happy Console Gamer.
Yes. Awesome, dude.
Yeah, he's done a bunch of good stuff recently. We talked about his Chillin' with Johnny video last time, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember if we were on air when we did that, but it was he was just sitting around listening to vinyl and talking about it. And I pointed out specifically his Valus series review because I've been watching a bunch of Turbo Duo stuff since I recently got mine fixed. And that I included a link to that. So if you want to go watch it, you may.
Is this one that he did recently with his wife? No, that was Persona I'm thinking of.
I think he did have his friend with him.
Oh, it was his friend. Okay.
Yeah, not dude? Rob Man, the other guy.
Blonde dude that like ripped him off as a kid or something. Like they have some sort of like rivalry. I forget now at the moment. Yeah, Legend points out that Valve never makes 3s when it comes to sequels. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2. It's good. Good running joke.
They could officially switch all of their... They could pull like a Final Fantasy and switch all of their 2s to the Roman numeral 2 and then do 2-2. Half-Life 2-2.
Just... I want to see... Didn't Half-Life 2 have those episode expansions and they only did 2 of those as well?
Yeah.
When there's supposed to be a third?
Half-Life 2, episode 2,
that would be awesome. That could go on forever, too. It's like you can never get to 0. Like, Half-Life 2, the sequel. Like, really, like, go 3 levels deep with it.
Half-Life 2, Infinity.
There you go. Well, I've heard that the writing staff on all of those properties is gone.
Yeah.
Like, no one exists anymore, so it's very unlikely that they would bring it up or revive those. However, I do think that your title may eke out if there's a bunch of amateurs that don't know how to write.
I feel like now it's just Valve is nothing but, like, it's Gabe Newell, a bunch of economists, and, like, people who make hats.
Yes.
That's it.
Man, where did I listen? I listened to a podcast with Valve's economist on it. And I don't remember if it was... It might have been Econ Talk. There's a podcast I listen to every week called Econ Talk. Mm-hmm. They talk about economics, and it's one of the professors from Stanford, and I think he had the Valve guy on to talk about them hiring him to try to help with the economic situation from video game economics. Valve's making plenty of money. You don't need an economist,
right?
But to try to work their actual economy. I bet Blizzard does. You think they do? I don't know if we reported on it, but the value of gold in World of Warcraft, at one point, it may still even be true, but a couple of weeks ago, was worth more than the black market value of the Venezuelan dollar.
Wow. I thought you were going to say actual gold.
No. But World of Warcraft digital gold was worth more than what money would exchange for in Venezuela at the time.
Man.
Yeah. Feel bad for people dealing with that in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Valis series, I'm not really familiar with this.
It's just a basic, like, side-scroller.
Oh, I thought it was a JRPG.
So, welcome back to...
Whoop. Everyone just got it. Yeah, that's the buddy that I just clicked on it. I want to see it, but we're live. We got to keep talking. I'll watch that afterwards. Yeah, Happy Console Gamer is one of my favorite YouTubers. I've watched him for a very long time. He was kind of hit and miss for me at kind of the beginning of YouTube because everyone was like a clone of James Rolfe in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But when they started the Old Gen Gamers podcast, when Johnny was on that, I listened to it, and he was a very thoughtful, articulate, and smart guy. He wasn't just like video game fan like crazy. He was a really good dude. So I have a lot of admiration for him.
I wonder what Pete Dorr is up to.
Man, he's probably been up for 48 hours straight with this new Sonic game that's really good.
You think his relatives are going to walk in and he's just going to be under a mountain of video game paraphernalia? He's been dead for like 4 years.
That's probably how it's going to go. I don't know. I don't follow those guys anymore.
Just every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, man, that YouTube channel. And I'll go to it, and it hasn't had an upload in like 5 years, or it just doesn't exist. Or I'm like, man, that's crazy.
I forget the guy's name. There was a retro guy that I followed, and I didn't remember subscribing to this person specifically when it showed up into my subscription feed.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I must have clicked it on accident or got really into a video that I don't remember watching. Previous upload was 3 years ago. So he had uploaded, it said like 10 minutes ago he had an upload. I'm like, oh, retro video game thing. Okay, I'll click on that. And it was good. And I'm like, God, why haven't I watched this guy in a long time? And I looked, and his uploads, 10 minutes, 3 years. I'm like, wow. And he didn't even say sorry for being gone. It was just a video as though nothing had... I loved it. So, well, Dustin, man, what have you been playing this last week?
All right. Well, we had some Cyberpunk Saturdays. I played some Watch Dogs 2. I've unlocked the drone.
Oh, okay.
So it makes like I can get a bird's eye view of things. It opens up hacking in a different way.
Okay. Is it like a pull-out view, or is it? Do you fly it around like it's an actual drone, or is it? Have you ever flown a real drone?
No. I imagine it's not as easy as it is in this video.
I was just gonna say, I wonder how the controls are. Well, that's cool that you can get the full. I guess I pictured that maybe it was like just pulling out and having like a bird's eye view, but you can like fly all over the place.
Oh yeah, it's very agile.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, I was flying around and hacking stuff.
Does it change because you don't have to be in as close a proximity?
Right.
Okay.
And some of it you absolutely have to have the drone or else you can't complete it.
Nice.
At one point I got in it was kind of like a souped up forklift. It wasn't like a tiny one. It was a much bigger one. It had like 3 or 4
like a James Cameron. Like a James Cameron kind of.
yeah, that's actually really good. Yeah, James Cameron's forklift. And I was just going around, and I was picking cars up and setting them on top of other cars. There were people in motorcycles. I'd pick the car up and try and drop them on their head, and the video game would push them through the ground, and they'd pop up beside it. They wouldn't let me crush people.
Kind of like someone in a jet ski, like flying underwater and just like popping back up.
Exactly. Yes. I'm usually pretty level-headed when it comes to random people in open world games, but the people in San Francisco is maybe realistic, but they are all just terrible. They all want to fight, and they're constantly angry. So I've got to where I punch people a lot. But yeah, that game's fun.
I'm not surprised. I've heard a lot of people say that 2 is quite good. You didn't play the first one very much, did you? Or did you?
Oh yeah, I finished it. Yeah.
You did? Did they improve on some of the stuff that you were hoping to?
Yeah. Yeah, from what I can recall of the first one, I feel like the character you play as is more agile. I think I feel like it, like in terms of difference in gameplay, it's kind of like the difference between Just Cause 1 and Just Cause 2.
I'll go play those when we're done to get that reference fully. I know what you're talking about, though. It's like an iterative thing, not like reworking or anything like that.
Like the first Just Cause was an open world game with a grappling mechanic and a skydiving mechanic, but it took itself really seriously. Just Cause 2, the creators were just like, people just want to do dumb stuff, so let's let them do dumb stuff. And the story is kind of like, it's over here if you want it.
Okay.
And I feel like it's the exact same way with Watch Dogs.
Not taking yourself as seriously.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember hearing... I never heard anybody just praise it as, oh my god, this is unbelievable. But specifically like guys on the Bombcast being like, yeah, Watch Dogs 2 is fun. I like it a lot more than the first one.
Yeah, I did a mission that was an insane difficulty.
Okay.
It was a co-op mission, and I was going through, and I was immediately seen. And the guys were chasing after me, and they all wanted to kill me a lot. And I was trying to get into this bunker to free this guy, and they all came out to kill me, and I ran, but they all left the bunker. So I just ran back into the bunker and freed the guy. But the door I went through to get in was open because an enemy had come through it recently.
Okay.
So then it shut, and I was stuck in the bunker for about 5, maybe 7 minutes until I pissed off the enemies long enough for them to come and try and get me again. And when they did that, the computer opened the door, so I ran through and ran out and got away.
Wild. I guess from a programming perspective, you would have to program function the other way, right? You'd have to consider that. And you're not supposed to be... that what happened to you isn't supposed to happen, right?
Right. Yeah.
That would piss me off. And I know you were like, yes, this is what I love about video games when they go sideways. Very cool. And then you were streaming before we started.
I was. I played Hellblade. Sinuous Sacrifice.
How long did you get to play it? Because you just started it, right?
Yeah. It was my first impressions, and I played it for a little over an hour.
Okay.
And I actually beat the first boss.
Nice.
So I got pretty good chunk in. I didn't know anything about Hellblade. I saw some stuff on Twitter about it, and I actually watched a Review Tech USA video.
Okay.
And Rich was playing it, and I just seeing the gameplay, I was like, this looks exactly like something I would want to play.
I thought of you when I saw it.
So I didn't close the video. I clicked off of it so I couldn't see it because I didn't want any spoilers. And then I picked it up yesterday.
This is that like AAA indie game, right?
Yeah.
I thought it looked cool from what I could see.
The sound design is great.
I hear you got to play it with headphones, right? Don't they recommend that?
They do. They recommend that at the beginning. So that worked out perfect when I was streaming because I always put in my earbuds anyway. The art design is fantastic. The graphics are excellent. Like Rich said, that it was the best looking game he's ever seen. Period. And he's playing on a souped up PC.
Damn.
Yeah, it still looked great, and I'm playing the worst looking voices. Sorry, I read Angela's thing. I'm playing the worst looking version on just a vanilla PlayStation 4. And it's still impressive. It looks awesome.
Oh, it's not open world, so
right. It's very linear.
You can get away with that stuff.
Yeah.
The way Castlevania Lords of Shadow still looks gorgeous.
Yeah, man, that game does.
Because they're cheating.
Yeah.
That's okay. It still looks good. Zarek asked if we talked about, we did not, or see the new Angry Video Game Nerd episode. I did, and I'm blanking on... What the hell was it? I mean,
it was watched Game Boy accessories?
Game Boy accessories, that's what it was. There was some really funny jokes in it. It reminded me of the Game Dave episode with the Peripherals, which is one of his best. He had the whole Game Boy Advance packet of bullshit. That was really fun.
I still pull up that Darkman video and just watch the dancing section. It's so good.
But the Game Boy accessory, it was a great take. Good old James Rolfe. That guy's in such a groove. Just everything he puts out, I'm a huge fan of. Especially last year when he did the Berenstain Bears episode and the Mega Man episode. Those were incredible. Maybe up there with my favorites of all time. Maybe one of those would be number one. I don't know. So many to choose from, but it was excellent. He's got it's just really good jokes again. So Zarek, it's excellent if you haven't. Cool. And then now we got to talk about the real meat. This is why I wanted a podcast this week.
Yeah. So I picked up, mainly for Solly, Sonic Mania. And that's a real good game.
It's awesome.
That's a really good Sonic game.
Real damn good Sonic game.
If you can imagine Sonic controlling like Sonic, but the way you've always wanted him to control.
And I'll give you an example. I know exactly what you're talking about. You know how in Sonic 1, there's these little quarter pipes that you can run up and get over? In this game, there is that extra pixel that you can just jump over that goddamn thing. Instead of getting clipped at the top of the edge, going down, charging up just to get over a little hill. There's little polished things like that with it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
You can tell the people that made this loved it because it is just like you remember. No, you know what? It's if you go a really long time without playing something and you remember it being a certain way, and then you go back and play it and it's like, oh no, it's kind of rough around the edges.
Yeah.
This is the way you remember Sonic. before you play and realize it wasn't as good as you remember.
I don't know. Yeah, there's something about it. It's just fun to play.
Yeah.
It's not. There's no caveat to it. It's not good for a Sonic game. I'm loving it. I played through a level of it, and I stopped what I was doing, went to the store, got some Jolly Ranchers because watermelon Jolly Ranchers remind me of Sonic 1 at my buddy's house. I opened up the bag, I picked out the watermelon Jolly Ranchers, and I sat down and I played it, eating Jolly Ranchers. And it was... Did you get it on PlayStation 4?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I got it on Switch. And it just feels good.
Man, I would love a physical copy of this game.
They had that one where he's on top of there's like a statue and the base is the Genesis.
Mm-hmm. But it just came with a code.
Yeah, and you have to assume it's not going to be any good. You know, there's no way I could have expected to enjoy Sonic Mania this much. I heard Jim Sterling say positive things about it. GameSpot gave it a 9, and I'm like, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
$20? All right, that sounds good. But there are little touches that I do think that even if you remember it a certain way, it'll feel new. When you have the title screen come up and Sonic is waving his finger, even if you hadn't played it in 20 years, you would know, wow, that's way more animated.
Yeah.
The parallax scrolling in the background, Dr. Robotnik, the way he subtly, like, a silhouette of him is part of the stage sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's just beautiful. How far have you gotten into it?
Where did we get before Solomon was like, I'm done with this?
Angela says the soundtrack is awesome.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. It's amazing.
We got to Chemical Plant Zone. That's where we got.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Wait. There's something I really want to talk to you about that I don't think you've gotten to yet. That I wouldn't talk about on the podcast anyways. But they did something in there that blew me away. It was such a nice little Easter egg to the fans. So I've gotten a lot farther in the game than that.
Okay.
And I just want to play one more.
Yeah.
And so far I have found the boss fights to be a little on the easy side. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that. I think that they have designed the levels in a way, hopefully, where I don't have like a labyrinth zone act 2.
Yeah.
I've never been able to beat that stage. The only reason I've beaten Sonic 1 was the cheat code.
Yeah.
Just to get to the end boss.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have to let me know if you get stuck at any point, but I'm probably 7-8 stages in now.
Yeah.
Did Solly get to play it at all?
He did. I was like, hey dude, look what we got. And I started playing it and I got like 2 stages in and he was like, can I try? I was like, oh yeah, I did buy this for you, didn't I? I handed it over. He's not as big a fan of the 2D Sonics as he is the 3D ones.
But
when he grows up and his tastes refine, he'll be like, clearly 2D is the superior dimension.
Exactly. Kevin put up on Instagram some great screenshots of the game. He says even the way he looks up. Yeah, there's just little things that are just so well done. And have you found a ring that allows you to get a Chaos Emerald?
Let's see.
You would know.
It's one of the big rings, like in Sonic 3, right?
Yes.
Yes, I found one of those.
Isn't that a cool special stage?
It is, but Solly was playing it.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to start my own save game and start playing this when he's not looking.
And luckily, there are multiple saves.
Yeah,
like there's good save slots. The Chaos Emerald stages now are Think of an F-Zero track.
Yeah.
And the object is that you collect orbs and rings in order to catch something that you're chasing around a track. But again, it controls and feels like F-Zero. Or I've heard people call it Sonic R, which I never played. But it's polygonal and it's wild. The cool thing is, in order to catch the thing you're chasing, you need to get faster. So you collect blue orbs. But the timer operates kind of like Adventure Island or Wonder Boy. So you need to collect rings in order to keep your timer going. And when you go to the first stage, it's very easy to catch the guy. But then as you catch more rings, you have spikes and stuff in the way and different efficient paths to take and harder to get to rings to keep it going. It's cool. And then there also are special stages, like in Sonic & Knuckles and Sonic CD. Have you run into those at all?
The Sonic 3 ones, I've run into a few of those. Those are the ones where, like, you'd hit a checkpoint and the stars.
Yes.
You get one, and I'm really... So, I didn't realize it until I bought a bunch of Sonic soundtracks for Solly that the special stage, Sonic 3 special stage music is excellent. You just can't hear it when you're playing the actual stage because you have all the stupid sound effects going on. Also, I'm really terrible at those. I'm really bad at them.
I'm glad I'm not alone. I don't know how, I got all the blue dots in one, which maybe I've done that in the past. I can't quite recall it, so I'm going to pretend it was my first time. But there were still rings available. So there must be a ring mechanic that I missed. I thought only blue orbs would turn into rings if you did them correctly.
Yeah, I thought so too. I don't know. I've got no idea.
It confused me. I'm glad that they didn't mess around with the Sonic 2 special stages. Well, maybe they will. Maybe.
Those half pipe stages.
The half pipe stages were terrible.
Those things suck so hard.
I'm optimistic they're not in there because of what you said at the very beginning. These are made by people that clearly like this game.
Yes.
This is the one where they just hired the Sonic fans, right?
I think so.
Ken says Sonic Pinball. I played the hell out of Spinball, but it's not. I don't think it's good.
No, it's not.
But I like the music, and it reminds me of Christmas Eve one year. I played it a lot, so I won't defend it being a good game, but I like it, kind of a thing.
Sonic Spinball is the most Sega Genesis sounding Sonic. It's the most tinny Sonic.
It is.
In the audio department.
Yes. They really leaned into the bonks on that one.
Trying to get in that TurboGrafx
yeah.
market.
Yeah, Kevin, he says collect the orbs around the perimeter and they turn into rings. And yes, but how did I get all of the orbs and not all the rings?
You broke it.
There might be spots where there are just rings out and about. I think in Sonic and Knuckles there were.
Yeah. Because if you collect like 50 rings, you get a free man or a continue or something.
Something like that, yeah. Good stuff. Well, yeah, I guess any other...
That's an excellent... Kevin said it's like hitting a saw with another saw. the tinny
Spinball.
Genesis music. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
That is good. That's accurate. Cool. Well, I guess you got anything else you want to say about Sonic Mania?
Go buy it.
I agree. Well worth $20. I have liked it more than I did those Inti Creates games, the Blaster Master Zero and the Mighty Bone Volt Burst or whatever. And I really, really liked those games, but this is leagues ahead of those.
Yeah.
And then as far as other gaming stuff, I also played Sunset Riders, and I streamed it, and I guess I'll talk a little bit about that. it turns out that the scaler thing that I got a while ago works really well with an old Hapog device that I have called the PVR Rocket. And that's the thing that I used to use to capture video from the composite signals. And for some reason, I can't think of it right at the moment. Oh yeah, they didn't used to support 60 frames a second, but they updated the firmware so that it did at 720p. Mm-hmm. And my Elgato capture card does not work with my scaler appropriately. I can't max it out. You know me, I'm going for the best possible maximum I can do. It's a fleeting game, but whatever. It's fun to focus on, I guess. But yeah, it looks better now. I get a native 720p signal after the scaler does its tripling thing, and I thought the stream looked really good. So I'm excited. It's fun to know that. Oh, and I did test it with the Genesis and the AVS. They all worked perfectly. And
awesome.
Do you remember me complaining about the Elgato losing signal with the Genesis and it flashing like no signal in the middle of my stream? That doesn't happen with the Hapog.
It's so weird.
The screen stays black. Like I can tell some signal change in the Genesis causes a slight issue with the scaler, but I don't get there's only slight pixelation during the transition. Doesn't affect gameplay or anything like that, but it definitely doesn't have a big no signal like splash screen show up on my stream. So that's certainly cool. Sunset Riders is great. I've talked about it before, and I think I mentioned it last week. I'm coming around on the Super Nintendo version, but I'll never quite get there because the Genesis version of Sunset Riders uses the Mega Man 3 slide down and jump. And in the Super Nintendo version, there's a dedicated slide button, but you have to be pressing a direction for it to work.
Oh,
if you press down at all, the slide also won't work.
Oh no!
So it's completely opposite. So I have to completely rewire my brain to use the slide mechanic well. And in the Genesis, I feel like a ninja, like flying around bullets, sliding under stuff, and I feel just very slow and clunky in the Super Nintendo version.
Man, I gotta get the Genesis version.
It's cheaper than the Super Nintendo one. It's probably only $30 or so bucks. That's a Genesis ass soundtrack. It's done very well. And because also it's designed as a video game for a console, not a video game for an arcade machine. There's some level design things that I prefer in the Genesis one as well. But I've talked about that all before. So, I guess that's going to be it for what we've been playing this last week. So let's get to our emails and comments. Let's do Kevin's email first, and then we'll get to some feedback from last episode.
All right.
And chat, feel free to chime in here.
Yep.
We're giving some advice.
So Kevin says, "Hey guys, Kevin, if you're not familiar, Kevin Sousa in the chat, he's our Canadian correspondent, longtime friend of the show. I need some spiritual advice. I'm in a pickle. I own The Binding of Isaac on Vita and Wii U. Neither one of those versions will have DLC or any new content. I've pretty much done everything in both versions, right now working on trophies because why not? Now, the PS4 doesn't offer cross-buy, but does offer cross-save for some reason, and has Afterbirth, which is extra content, and now Afterbirth Plus, which is even more content. I'm obviously going to rebuy it because, as we established, I'm a fucking idiot."
However, he hasn't bought this one 5 times yet. He's still got 3 more purchases.
Right. However, on Twitter, Ed McMillan said that there's going to be a physical copy of Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus for PS4, but no ETA. Now, my question is, do I buy it now, digitally and cheaper, or do I buy the physical copy, more expensive but cool looking? Both contain the same content minus a box. Seriously, I've been losing sleep over this. My wife doesn't care, and Hannah seems indifferent about it, so I need help.
Okay, before we get to the rest of his email, What's your advice?
I say always go for the physical copy.
I have the same advice, but for, I guess, maybe a different reason. I think the physical copy is a nice carrot. Clearly, this is one of your favorite games. Good to have a physical copy of that. So,
yeah.
I think the physical copy is a good carrot on the end of the stick to hold off from playing. It's kind of like when you haven't had your favorite food in a long time and you finally get it again. So the longer you can wait, the better for when you revisit it, because then you'll be able to dive in and really engross yourself again with it.
Yeah. And I'm a lunatic who likes piling plastic on shelves because it makes me feel good.
So, physical copy. Same conclusion, different thought process. So obviously you have to wait.
There you have it.
There you go, Kevin. Pretty easy. Now he also goes on to say, also chat, if you have any suggestions, what would you do?
Yeah.
Do you need the instant gratification? I say wait. And I probably wouldn't. If I'm being realistic, do as I say, not as I do. I love that instant gratification. Buy now. Yes.
Or we could just buy now and buy later.
Yep.
But divorces are expensive, I hear. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said I knew that was the answer. There's so many other games. Just look at your backlog. Anytime you're tempted.
Yeah.
Just look over at, I don't know, other games.
You could go back and play
Mario 3.
Seventh Saga on the Super Nintendo. I bet you never played that. You could go back and play the Mary Kate, Ashley Olsen games on PlayStation 1.
Whoa. We want Kevin to stay alive until the game comes out.
You could play...
depressed.
You could go play Yanya Cabalista City Skater on PlayStation 1.
Yeah, I cannot compete with this obscure stick. I've got like training wheels.
Acorn Kawasawi on the Sega... I don't know. Okay. So Kevin goes on to say, in the meantime, I've been playing Sonic Mania.
Nice.
Stop reading this email and doing the podcast and go play that right now. I instantly farted $30 at the game when I saw it was available for purchase.
See, $30 in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's Canadian, but again, if we get back on parity, the retailers aren't just going to go, oh, hey, our dollar's doing good, so we're just going to drop that down to 20.
This is seriously my favorite Sonic game, surpassing Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is my favorite Sonic game. The music, the levels, the graphics, the characters, all so good. And it's by the same guy who made the phone versions, too. I've respected him for doing that and respect him more now. Christian Whitehead is the name, I believe, yeah.
Yes, that's his name.
My question of the week, besides the Binding of Isaac one, which I really need an answer. What is your favorite Sonic game? And what's your least favorite Sonic game? Mine was Sonic 3 and Knuckles because that should have been one game to begin with, and I've always been a Knuckles guy. The anti-hero thing always gets me. My least favorite was Sonic Heroes. That game fucking sucks. That theme song still haunts me to this day.
I have a hard time picking. I'm between Sonic and Knuckles without 3 plugged into it, and the first one as my favorites. Until this, we'll see how this one wraps up. Yeah, because this is well on the way to being like objectively the best one ever. But also feeling like my favorite as well.
So my favorite is probably, a tie between 1 and 2.
I'm going to go with Sonic and Knuckles because I do like Knuckles, not because he's an anti-hero, but because he can float.
Yeah, the floating really helps.
I love that mechanic in almost all video games, so I'm probably going to go with that. The heartstrings say 1. So you're between 1 and 2.
Yeah. I haven't played
like 2.
I haven't played 3 enough.
I haven't either.
or Knuckles. Man, the ice level music is fantastic in that game, though. Sonic 3.
I'd have to go listen to it. I'm assuming it is. That's the one that Michael Jackson helped with.
Yeah, Smooth McGroove did a cover of it.
I'm sure I'm going to hear it and go, oh, yeah, oh, this one, okay.
But yeah, the first one, just because that was like the first Sega Genesis game I ever bought. You know, you get your Sega Genesis, you're excited to play it. It's that first game you play.
Yeah, like I have such strong memories tied to it.
Yeah.
If I'm on death row and my last meal is one Sonic game, I'm going to play the first one.
And my least favorite has got to be Sonic Spinball. And that's coming from a guy who owns Sonic Boom.
I would probably say that probably the Dreamcast Sonic Adventure would probably be my least favorite. Now, I haven't played Sonic 06. I haven't played Sonic Boom. There's a lot of games that I haven't played. So out of the ones I've played, it would have to be Sonic Adventure. And a big part of that's also because I didn't play that until I was much older. So I wasn't a part of the zeitgeist of the 3D stuff coming out. So I was not forgiving at all when the direction was kind of weird and like the accuracy to get the rings was tough.
Yeah.
I would have been more forgiving had it been new, but yeah, I think I'd go with those. I think I'll go with one is my favorite. Even though I just said Knuckles, God. And it's this would be if I didn't get the wagging finger of no, you can't do that. When you plug Sonic 1 into Sonic and Knuckles, you get a splash screen that's like, nope. I don't know my favorite. It's one of those two, but Sonic Adventure is my least favorite.
Yeah, Sonic Adventure is early 3D. Holy cow.
Zarek said he played Sonic Spinball so much that he refused to let the game defeat him. I got pretty damn far in that game, but eventually I gave up because it takes hours to play far into that game.
Yeah.
Even if you get lucky bounces.
Sonic Spinball. I own a complete copy of that game. What's wrong with me? I think I got it in a lot.
I think I still have the cart. Like the case too. I don't know. I have all my Genesis games that are obstructed now. Yeah, honestly, my favorite depends on what minute it is, I guess. I love Knuckles though.
Yeah. And
I like climbing up walls.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a good Radiohead song. Okay, so Kevin continues.
You know what? I'm going to break the mold and say Knuckles Chaotix. It's both my favorite and my least favorite.
Is that the 32X one?
Yeah.
I do like Sonic CD a lot. I think that's an excellent game as well. But I've only played it on like my tablet. I think I have it on Xbox One as like a 3860 backwards compatible game.
Mm.
But it's awesome on my tablet. The emulation there is very good from the Play Store. Kevin, Pixar didn't happen. He says, I beat Sonic Spinball on my first rental. Was he like mainlining Mountain Dew? How the hell do you do that?
He must have the snowstorm. He was probably snowed in for like a month. He couldn't return it.
Yeah, he had nothing but maple syrup and Sonic Spinball.
Yeah.
And poutine.
Well, that's understood.
Awesome. Kevin owns Sega or Sonic CD, but he doesn't even have the system, but he has a physical copy of the game.
You never know.
You guys will have to meet up for a beer.
Yeah.
Okay. He also said, yeah. All right.
To finish off Kevin's email, he's talking about Sonic Heroes. He says, I remember renting that game all giddy for a 3D Sonic game. I didn't own a Dreamcast or a GameCube, so I haven't played one yet. and remember being all excited. Then I played the game and almost threw my PS2 out the window. It was one of those rare times when I went to Blockbuster and told them I wanted to return the game and exchange it because it sucked. I never did that. I did for Resident Evil, but that's because Rooster and I were cowards.
Rooster is his old co-host from the Paranerds.
Paranerds, yeah. Also, the new AVGN episode on Game Boy accessories mentioned the thing I had. I had the Booster Game Boy. Rui called me after watching it to tell me that AVGN spoke about it. It did suck, and I really only used it to burn ants. The magnifying glass was awesome for that. Anyways, keep up the good work. K-Sauce sent from iPhone.
Did you have any Game Boy accessories?
I think I had like a light that shone on it.
I had the magnifying glass that would flip out.
I had a Game Genie for it.
You had the Game Genie?
Yeah.
There's a great gag with in that episode about the Game Genie. I didn't remember there being a Game Genie for it. The best part, though, was when he pointed out the little finger-sized booklet with all the codes in it fit in the back of the Game Genie.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was really cool. They also had stickers that you could stick on the back of the cart. Because when you put it in the Game Genie, it was backwards. The label facing you.
Oh. Damn, they really... Galoob, man. Was that a Galoob one? Were they still... Because did that sell off, that Game Genie brand?
I don't know. I've said it before. I'll say it again. God bless Galoob.
God bless Galoob. What was the first game that you couldn't wait to play with a Game Genie when you found out?
Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The first one?
Yep. Infinite Life. Although, what sucks is the fire in, I think, the 5th stage. It drains your life to kill you. So if you fall into it, you're stuck. You have to start all the way over.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. That's
Well, it wasn't intended to be used that way, so.
That's right.
Kid Chameleon felt impossible unless I used the Game Genie to get the different masks.
Mm-hmm.
Contra was one. Super Mario jumping to get over the flagpole. I remember like a no gravity
or moon
Mario
gravity
thing.
or yeah.
I remember not being able to, or not being able to wait to see that in action. And plus, my mind would just run wild. Like I can beat that game now.
Yeah.
Some just felt impossible. This thinks you didn't have one, Kevin. Did I? I don't know if we... Yeah, we had the Game Genie for the NES. Because eventually you just had to leave it in your system.
Kevin said, I never owned a Game Genie. My buddy did, and I treated him like Lucas from The Wizard.
Oh, yeah, as Eric says, though, the Game Genie won't help you with the sewer jump. And Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
But at least there's the infinite lives, so you can keep trying that part again at least.
Yeah.
Because, man, once that 4th turtle dies, and you got to go all the way back. The older we get, man, the more old games are just like unfairly punishing. I'm so lazy. I was playing Sunset Riders and I got a game over. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta just. I'm only 20 minutes in, but I gotta play the first few levels again. It sucks. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. Really appreciate you writing in. Hope. I'm sorry that we didn't give you the advice that you wanted us to give you.
Do what you think is right.
He knows what's right. Resist what you want to do as well. Good luck. Okay, so we got to get to some of Domez's comments from last episode. And also shout out to Kenneth. Ken, thanks for hanging out in the chat. Eternal Shift, what's up? Deadpool666. Thank you for stopping by. Also, GoldenEye N64 James Bond. Thank you guys for commenting last week. What's up, Kira? Nice to see you. So last week, Dumbass, since we commented, or since we recorded earlier, he had missed us. So, was it the Roadies of YouTube? How many episodes back do I need to go?
I think you're right. The Roadies of YouTube.
Okay, yeah, he comments. I'm just gonna cherry pick some of this stuff. So from 2 episodes ago, he says if the Super Mario game is actually a first production run, this is that $30,000 Mario 1 cart. Then it must be very rare and unique. He says, think about it. As popular as the NES was and Mario is, generally all of those first print runs would be open and used. For some reason, maybe one fell behind the shelf somewhere and was later found. First print run Mario sealed, minty fresh, with a bizarre story. It is why. And I agree. Like, you'll hear of like a classic novel, first prints have typos in them or something like that. Yeah. So it makes it that much more valuable. He does have a Rift update. His Rift broke. So his first one was broken. He sent him back. He got a new one. The new one got crushed during shipping. So he contacted them, and then they ended up sending him a third one. Doesn't that suck when every piece of mail gets delivered to you perfectly all year, but the one piece of mail you really want, something bizarre happens with it.
Yeah.
He also says Peanut Butter Gamer looks like he has a giant-sized industrial fan behind him. I agree. He also says Hebrew Sonic, Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov.
And then also... Oh, that's from, 2 episodes ago and whatnot. Is that about it?
I think so.
I think that's it. All right, cool. Oh, he also says the guy on the right reminds me of an actor. I get Patton Oswalt sometimes. I have gotten... My voice sounds like one of the Hannah Montana people. I've also heard my voice sound like Justin Long, I've been told.
I can see that.
I listened to an interview and I turned my head to listen, and I could hear what they were talking about. I'm not as famous though, and I don't use Macs.
Just about.
So couldn't. That's all right, Zarek. He said he had a comment and forgot most of it. Well, that's going to be it for the week. So everybody, again, thank you very much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. Great to see everybody coming over from Zarek's stream. If you're not a regular YouTube friend of ours, go over to Zarek's channel. He's got some awesome stuff going on. I saw he was doing some crossover today with Warframe and Skyrim references. That's Xearrik. Good dude over there. And then, so as far as this week is concerned, streaming schedule, we tried to nail it down, but it's been too tough. Oh, what do we got?
That's perfect.
Surf Ninjas?
Zarek says he wants Surf Ninjas to be a YouTube series like Karate Kid. Hell yeah, dude.
Would you lean into the silliness of it, or would you go hard serious? Like as a juxtaposition to the original material?
I would keep the seriousness, but then the fight scenes would be like from the Power Ranger reboot.
That wacky. It doesn't make any sense, but I thought when it was Colt goes into the room his mom was painting, and was like all stealth going through the room, messing with the guys, and happened to have a white can of paint to spray his mask. I remember thinking, oh, that's so brilliant. That is so stupid, that whole scene. That whole Home Alone scene.
Are you thinking of Three Ninjas?
Oh, I'm thinking of Three Ninjas, not Surf Ninjas.
There was a lot of ninjas going on in the 90s.
There were. You're right. I'm thinking of Surf Ninjas. Or Three Ninjas.
Three Ninjas is another one.
To be fair, I was watching the new Nostalgia Critic episode today. There was a Three Ninjas reference at the beginning of that episode. I think that's why I got it on the brain. Surf Ninjas, yes. We can have a dubstep Barbara Ann remix and.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I would have it. It would be goofy during the comedy, but then during the action, it would be like horrifyingly gruesome and gory.
Okay, I'm on board with that.
So it would be like decapitations and amputations, but then Rob Schneider would say something kooky.
Look, man, you got to catch up with Rick and Morty. This one's gotten really graphic with the violence this season. Surf Ninjas. Surf Ninjas, not Three Ninjas. Also, neither of those have a Blu-ray release. Absolute travesty.
What in the hell is happening?
You know what else doesn't have a Blu-ray release? The original 1978 Bad News Bears. That's a classic movie. I can't...
Yeah.
And they have a remade, or remaster, or re-edit, whatever it is, for HD TVs. So they have an HD broadcast version available. Just, I don't care if it's not that good of a transfer. Put that shit on Blu-ray and give me some extras. Because it was on TV at a bar or something like that. Yeah, and there's a rabbit hole of forum threads to go down about people upset about Bad News Bears not having a Blu-ray release.
We need to get Rob Schneider to say what if they released Surf Ninjas on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, all right. Well, we need to thank Ben Landis very much for letting us use his song "Through the Forest" as our intro music. That's on the album Adventures in Pixels. If you'd like to get the audio version of our podcast, you can listen through your podcast app on your phone. You can get the RSS feed directly from our website, classicelite.com, or we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, SoundCloud, and other places that we didn't approve of, but we're out there. Just search for our name. Social media, we are very active on Twitter, Instagram, kind of on Facebook, and YouTube. Also, follow us on SoundCloud while it exists. You remember I said SoundCloud was going away?
Mm-hmm.
They just, 2 days after I said that, they got a big round of funding. So they're going to hang around for a little longer. But follow us on SoundCloud if you like our outro music. We share songs that we like on there. So if you're interested in our outro music, you can follow us there and be right on the cusp of what I'm going to be playing. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by clicking on our Amazon affiliate links in the descriptions of any of the podcasts wherever you're listening to it. And if you buy something through Amazon, after clicking on our link, we will get credit and a commission for it. Yeah, RIP SoundCloud. I know, Ava, it sucks. I love SoundCloud. It's Twitter, but with songs. Or you can donate in Super Chat if you want to catch us live. But if you don't want to support in that way, that's okay. Just watch and share and all that stuff and helps us out. And for outro music, Chiptunes Equals Win Volume 6 came out on August 11th. And I didn't update the track link. That's not the song we're playing. Cubby.
Aww.
Cubby has a new song. So he's my favorite. I love Cubby. Yes, that's a good song in the chat. That is last week's outro song. But Cubby is back. He's got a song called Dolphin AF. It's track 11 or 12, something like that, on Chiptunes Equals Win, Volume 6. I love when Chiptunes Equals Wins volumes come out, because that's like 2 months of me not having to look for new chiptune songs to play at the end of the show. And we did get another follower on SoundCloud that's a synthwave record label.
Ooh.
So I listened to a couple of those songs. So
all right,
we are flush for the rest of the year with great music for you to listen to. Yeah, I'll send you a link to that record label when we're done. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. But yeah, enjoy the song by Cubby, a friend of ours. The song is called Dolphin AF, and we'd like to thank everybody for listening to episode 243 of the Classic Elite Podcast, and we'll see you next week for episode 244.
Boosh.
All right, to save editing, I got to shut the stream down. Thank you, everybody. We love you. Bye. Yes, Secret of Music is great.